fantasy sports coaches, welcome to the GameDay Squad channel. And I want you all to tell me one thing. Were you the type of person to start Tim Taranto in your team this week and you are absolutely buzzing? Or did you hop back on hashtag English game? You stuck with the boy and now you reap the rewards. That's what I want to know down in the comments. But my name's Tom. I got a full team with me today here and we're ready to talk some footy. So we're going to deliver you another episode of GameDay Squad's Aussie Rule show. Cal, mate, what have we got in store today?
Mate, we have a big show, lots to cover. We've got Pack of the Week coming up later on, which I know everyone's favourite segment, your chance to win some packs, and we get to see some of the best packs. We've got our studs and duds for the round, and we also get to dive into Lock of the Week, which normally is one of my favourite segments, but hasn't been trending that way lately. So yeah, let's get stuck into it.
Definitely. Stick around to see the Pack of the Week and how you can enter. But let's kick it off with studs and duds. Kern, mate, take it away.
Yeah, keen to get us stuck in here, and I'm going to start with someone who's I think has flown under the radar in terms of dynasty ranking, and it is St Kilda young gun Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira, who for me has been good. He's been so good, and he's relished a change down back to defense, and obviously you can see on his card here he is down as a midfielder for GameDay Squad Aussie rules, but that is likely to change in hopefully the not so distant future, because he's coming off a score of 95 points off 18 kicks, 4 handballs, 1 mark and 3 tackles, which frankly he has been doing all year. I've been so impressed with Wanganeen-Malira, and hopefully he can keep this going, and I can't see him stopping anytime soon. He's only going to get better and better as he matures and gets some games under his belt in the top flight league. So he is my stud this week, and he's going to be my stud. I'll keep a close eye on him and try and buy some stock in Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira as the season goes on. And unfortunately, my dud is one of the fan favourites for the Richmond Tigers, Liam Baker, who is coming off a pretty paltry 76 from 12 kicks, 8 handballs, 2 marks, 1 tackle, and scored a goal. And that goal is the telling stat there, because he is now playing as what seems to be a half-forward flanker. And that role that he had earlier on in the season off half-back was extremely fruitful. We saw him averaging about 105, 110 GDS fantasy points through a good stretch there. But with the likes of Nick Vlostone, Nathan Broad, Daniel Rioli, Dylan Grimes, all healthy and playing down back, and the most worrying part for Liam Baker is Richmond are finally starting to get these runs on the board and starting to notch up some wins without him down back. So I can't see Liam Baker's role changing anytime soon in the near future, and that's unfortunately a bad sign for Liam Baker owners and coaches out there who are looking to start him through the buy round. So Liam Baker is unfortunately my dud, but I'm super excited with my stud Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira going into the second half of the year.
Nice, difficult one for you to work through on a Monday morning, pronouncing that. But you've done well. You've had your coffee, clearly. I'll get into my stud, Tom. It was someone I know Kerm wanted to fight me for taking, but I got the early dibs in this week. This is the dud we had a fight over. But my stud, Montepelli, guys. How good was he yesterday afternoon? You guys know I was threatening not to come on the show because things weren't looking good, but fortunately I had this guy, and you can see his stats there up on screen. The big one that you can see is the 3 goals. We know how important goals are for GameDay Squad scoring. He had 3 of them. That's massive. I think he even had a chance for another one late, and he passed it off. So yeah, easy stud of the round for me. Definitely helped my team, which we'll get into in a little bit shortly. Dud though, Steele, very disappointing. For every Bontempelli, there's a Steele in your team. He was really disappointing. He just couldn't find the footy, and it was really interesting after the game. Ross Lyon said it had nothing to do with injury, nothing to do with fitness, it's just form, which is really concerning if you are a Jack Steele owner. I wouldn't be putting him on the trade block yet, but I don't know if he's going to be back in my team until he's consistently putting out big scores again. So yeah, that's my studs and duds for the week.
Super scary regarding Jack Steele, because I don't know if you guys have tried to build a round 15 team yet, but it is light pickings, and coaches are going to need someone like Jack Steele to perform going into next week especially, which, to be frank, I don't think he's startable at all at the moment. He's just way too off kilter at the moment. It's really surprising for someone like him.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. And do you know who's better to start is Brad Crouch in that same midfield. Don't be starting your Steele, mate. Get Crouch in there. I know, Callum, you went with that decision as well. this week. How much better did he play? So I have way more confidence in putting a player in like Crouch at the moment than Steele. But let's go over to my studs and duds for the round. And as I hinted at before, Timmy Taranto is going to be my stud. Now, that game was very weird because it started off being a dry surface. It looked really good. The ball was zipping back and forth. And then it turned into a bath. And literally the MCG was filling up with water. It was crazy. But do you know what Tim Taranto did? Is he adapted his game perfectly to wet weather footy. He was making quick decisions, getting ball to boot really quick, surging the ball forward, which is exactly how you need to play in those type of conditions. So he was fantastic. And just that goal in the fourth quarter, a banana from about 45 out, summed up his game perfectly. It was a miracle day for him. He is just that good of a player. Super impressed from him. But you know what? He's been doing it all season, so I shouldn't be. It's becoming quite the norm for Tim Taranto to be doing this on a week-to-week basis.
It was good to see him do well because I know I've got in my team, but then watching him, knowing that you had the gold version of it, for every kick he got, he does a little bit better for your score than my score, which made it tough to watch. But hey, that's how we play fantasy.
It is, and you can see the tackles there as well. Wet weather footy, 10 tackles, mate. Loves a cuddle as well. Perfect game from him. Absolutely perfect. But going to my dud, it's Mitch Owens. And, you know, we've given this guy big raps over the past couple of weeks. He dismantled my Swans only just last week, scoring 120 plus, something like that. It was fantastic in that game. But he didn't adapt his game very well to wet weather footy at all. He had a couple of tackles, which got his score up. Fortunately, because if he didn't have those tackles, man, that score would have been really, really ugly. It wasn't the type of footy conditions for him. He was definitely struggling in the wet. Playing up forward, I understand it can be hard to impact, but yeah, it was a tough outing for Mitch Owens on the weekend, and he'll definitely be looking to bounce back soon. But it was a very thin week this week with teams. I have a feeling that there are a couple coaches who would have gone with a player like Mitch Owens, and he would have burned quite a lot of coaches. So yeah, that hurts. Well, that wraps up our studs and duds for the round, and let's get into Game Day Squad's weekly leaderboard. These are the people who are the best of the best for the week, unlike myself, unfortunately. We'll get into that later, but have a look. Some fantastic scores this week. We know how many teams had the bye, so the matter of fact that, you know, 2,500 was nearly put up in the Classic comp, and 3,100 in your champion competition. That is some great coaching and managing, fellas. What do we think?
Unreal. 3,100 in the champion competition, as you said, during a big bye week. That is a massive score from Dabblers, which is, you know, as a champion competition player myself, I've seen Dabblers up and down that leaderboard all year long. So congratulations to him. And yeah, STB, almost 2,500 points in the classic competition, again, in the middle of a bye week. Insane.
What I want to call out, have a look at third in the classic competition and then look at the score of sixth place. 2 points. 2 points the difference. Insane. It is very, very tight at the top. Unfortunately, like you said, Tom, we're not there, but we're going to get onto that in just a moment where we finished.
Yes. Well, we are brought to you, and what you're looking at is Game Day Squad. Create, coach, and compete. And if you love AFL fantasy, and I know you do because you're here right now, we've got our link down below in the description. Start building your dream team today. And speaking of dream teams, our teams weren't so dreamy this week, but let's get into our team reviews. Callum, start it off, mate. How did you go?
Mixed week for the Peanut Butters. We got off to a awful start, having Jeremy Cameron stink it up. He was very, very lucky to not be on my dud list. I said to you, Tom, I think on Friday night, I needed a hot bench, not a hot seat if we were going to do that segment. But it was grim. It was grim looking at that team. You can see, look at the players who didn't play yesterday, and I would have had a shocking score. But Tim English, Bontempelli, Liberatore, and Dale, all in that final game, picked me up and saved me from what would have been a pretty embarrassing score. So almost, didn't move around in the seasonal rankings, still 16th, but 56th overall. It's not good enough for a prize. It's not good enough to beat Tom, and frankly, just not good enough for my boys this week. So yeah, back better next week.
Yeah, tough round, and I'm glad you stuck with your Platinum Team English. You gave him another chance. You gave him a chance to redeem himself, because I know how disappointed you were last week spending all that salary cap on him. But this week, at least he was able to deliver and pull you back to a somewhat respectable score, because, as you said, it was looking pretty grim before that Doggies game. But thank goodness you had the likes of English, Bontempelli to help you climb up those rankings. But let's get into my team. This week, we finished 24th for the round. I was 40 points off 10th place. Callum, you just spoke about how close our competition was this week. And I'll tell you one decision which really hurts looking back on. It was having Aaron Hall in my back left pocket for the entire weekend and getting to the final game and realising that he was omitted and that, well, he would not be suiting up. So I looked at the club. We were very thin. And we had a Bailey Williams sitting there, which, funnily enough, outscored Jeremy Cameron for the round, but still, that's probably not good enough from a defender. He had 55 fantasy points, which, you know, if he just got to 95, that would have been enough to crack the top 10. And you can see there my seasonal rankings 11th, and surprise, surprise, I'm only 40 points away from being 10th place. So it would have been the double. Top 10 in the weekly, top 10 for the seasonal. My heart hurts a little bit, fellas. It's all my fault, though, so I will be looking myself to bounce back, and I probably should have thrown myself in the hot seat.
I want to know, was there ever a conversation to the owner and said, hey, mate, I've put us in this situation. I'm sorry. However, can I go out and buy myself someone on the transfer market on the Sunday afternoon to save your round? Did that conversation come along? Because you were in such a good spot, and there were, you know, we did say that it was tough, but you could have gone out and got yourself Bailey Dale, and you would have been bang in that top 10.
You are right. And looking back, hindsight is a beautiful thing, because, you know, you can make these perfect decisions. But at the time, it was tight, man. I think I had like 3 minutes until the lockout was going to lock it. So I didn't want to risk it. I had to get a player in, and I thought someone is better than no one. So let's just stick with the best available for my club. But you can see the rest of the team there. Honestly, we had a pretty solid week. My defenders are probably the most disappointing part, other than my Sam Doherty. Sam Doherty was fantastic. He got 150 or 174 with my gold card. The forwards, Zach Butters had a bit of an off week, but everyone else was great. I can't really complain. We'll be looking to bounce back the Zeus Cannons next week, and I'm going to deliver on my promise. I will be in the top 10 seasonal rankings by next week. It's happening, fellas.
You heard it here.
Cool. $2 for a silver Bailey Dale as well, for everyone wondering. So, yeah, Tom is officially a cheap owner. Kerm, how did you go?
Yeah, so while Tom needs to put his notifications on for AFL lineup news, I need to turn mine off, because I saw late that Mitch Duncan was back into the Geelong side, and I snapped him up. I put him straight back into the lineup with his diamond card, you can see there. And between him and Tom Stewart, it was just a sad watch for Geelong and fantasy coaches all around the country, because it just wasn't between... You spoke about Jeremy Cameron as well. Those three guys you'd expect to at least go par, but very, very, very below par from those two. And it just got off to the wrong start straight away. And it sort of continued on to the weekend. I went with Matt Rao, who only got me 128 with a 1.4 multiplier. My late in was Jack McRae, who only got me 127. Shout out to the live show where I had to give up my Chad Warner card. It's the only reason why Jack McRae actually came into the squad. I was happy with Rowan Marshall until Tim English went out there and decimated for the Western Bulldogs and coaches who started him. And my forward line was solid again. Probably my best... positional group so far this year, with the exception of Zach Butters, who, if anybody is allowed a week off, it's Zach Butters, and he copped a nasty knock early on in the game, which sort of, you know, kept him low for the rest of the game. But yeah, very, very, very disappointing week from me this week. Finished 21st outside of the prizes. Still somehow clung on to my second seasonal ranking overall. I'll hopefully try to win back that first position over this next bye period and throughout the second half of the season. But for me, I just got to get my head down and keep these selections right, because I'm sort of kicking myself in the foot at the moment.
Gosh, that's a good ranking for Callum this year, mate. 21st. I reckon he'd take that all day. But, you know, you are coming second There are levels to this, mate, and it does hurt seeing that. And knowing you gave up the Chad Warner as well, I know, would have killed you. And how he gave up the Chad Warner, as he referred to before, was on our live stream, which we run every single Thursday on YouTube, Facebook, all of our different socials. We have plenty of card giveaways and also pack giveaways. So that's your best chance to get free cards and packs, is hopping on that live stream and joining in on the fun. So make sure you're there, put your post notifications on so you're notified when we're going live. Alrighty, it's time for the best part of the show. The reason I know you've all been waiting, it is Pack of the Week. Kerm, fill them in with all the details, mate. Take it away.
What a pack we have on our screen here. This is from Skip on the Discord. We've got a Gold Cane Farrell, which I know will take the heart of our boy Callum here. He loves himself a little bit of Cane Farrell stock. But the big names in this pack is a silver Sammy Walsh, a gold Nick Martin, and a silver Josh Dunkley. An absolutely insane pack. And I know we've had legends flying out everywhere these last couple of weeks, but this sort of pack, you know, you got 3 players there who slide straight into anybody's starting team. And the dynasty value of this pack as well should not be unmentioned, because this is insane. You got Ollie Hollands as well in a platinum variety, which is an insane card and probably will be very startable in the near future. But that Nick Martin and Sammy Walsh, you cannot go much better than that. This is an insane pack from Skip on the Discord, as I said.
Oh my goodness.
And if you guys want to get involved, all you got to do is take a screenshot of your packs, go to the Discord, under the AFL channel, you'll see a sub-channel that says pack openings, and every single week before the show, I go in and pick a pack of the week. And we've seen some unreal packs these last couple of weeks, but in the next week, I want to see the best Dynasty pack. So get your best Dynasty players, any players you packed that are Dynasty, everyone's got a chance of winning. I will go through on a Monday morning and pick the best pack that I see that is a Dynasty pack. So again, go to the Discord, GameDay Squad Discord, go to the AFL channel, you'll see a sub-channel that says pack openings, and send your screenshots there. Guys, what are your thoughts on this pack?
I think on a normal week, I'd be all over it. But I tell you what, I've woken up a bit salty with Sammy Walsh, and I know the pack's very good, so congratulations, Skip, and it will be a great pack going forward. But yeah, Sammy Walsh today, I don't know if he's the player I would want to see. Yes, long term, but not this morning. I'm still mad at him.
Nah, mate, you're being too salty. This is playing with all my heartstrings. I love Sammy Walsh. That gold Nick Martin as well. Dude, you know how big I've been about Nick Martin. That is a ripper card to pull, and he is in some ripping form. And you might be making a good case to start him this week in your lineup, Skip, but we'll see what he ends up doing. But what a great pack. Congratulations. And as Kerm said, it's as easy as going down below in the description, clicking on the Discord link and joining today. And good luck for next week. But we'll move it on. Our last part of the show. It's now becoming my favourite segment. It is our lock of the round. Callum, mate, take it away, big fella.
Yeah, and fastly becoming my least favourite segment on a Monday. You guys, I am still not at the top. Tom's in the lead. Kerm, though, the big story, has pulled himself up off the canvas after some shocking rounds. Things are starting to get pretty tight. We've got less than 200-point gap from first to fourth there. That's the lowest it's been, I think, since round 2. So while we don't think it'll stay this way, we think Tom will eventually crack under the pressure and one of us will take back the crown. It is getting competitive, which we do like to see. But I want to tell you about my round, and you can see there, guys, a lot's been going wrong. I had Dunkley for 130, and as Tom so generously reminded me the other day, what do you get for me, Tom?
Oh, we actually went to the game together as well. It was a nice little watch, but 129 points is what he finished with. But
that hurts.
You know what they do say, Callum? They do say karma is a thing, and it will come back and bite you. And as I so kindly reminded you about how you missed by 1 point, maybe we should mention that I picked Jack Sinclair for 123 fantasy points on the weekend. And my man went out and did 122 on the dot. He had one free kick given away, none for, so that was it. Just one free kick, the difference, and I'm sure yours would have been the same. It hurts, Cal. We're both so close to adding some extra score on, and we couldn't get it done.
That
We
is
could have, but
actually insane.
Yeah, you did get the win though. You're the only one that did.
I did. I got Timmy Taranto for 130, and he just did Timmy Taranto things. Timmy T is a different animal. He's actually having a historic fantasy season to this point in the season so far, so hopefully he can keep that going for the second half. But Timmy Taranto, 130 points, getting me back in the conversation. I'm not anywhere near the top just yet, but I'm creeping back into the conversation, so hopefully we can keep these greens going.
And speaking of greens, you can see the form on mine as I bring up my pick for this week is not looking good, guys. I've missed 5 of the last 6. Rosie, my only one there. But I did some research, guys, because you might be looking Parish 115. Callum, that's a bit low, and we've had this conversation with you before about picking low. Guys, I've dug into the numbers. Every time I get a pick wrong, I'm picking up near 130, 125 for the average. When I'm getting them right, they're closer to 115 and 110. So you guys have gotten my head, and you've made me change the way I've been playing. So I'm going to actually go back for the second half of the year. I'm going back to how I started it, and that's 115 for Darcy Parish. Lock it in. This will take me to the top this week, and from there, I'll get my crown back.
If you can look yourself in the mirror and make that decision, then so be it. Let us know in the comments if you agree with Cal going as low as 115 for a play like Darcy Parish, who is one of That's good from you.
Did it. Done. Tick.
Let us know in the comments if you agree with that sort of moral behaviour there.
But look, mate, I really can tell. I think I am getting to your head. 115 for Parish. But look, if that's what you want to roll with this week, that is fine. But maybe we'll go into Kerm next, because I'm actually coming off an L myself. Kerm, who are you picking this week, and for how many points?
I'm going super vanilla. I'm going Lockie Neal for 122. And the main reason is the matchup against St Kilda, who give up, I think, the second most points to midfielders, still behind the West Coast Eagles. So I'm really going for matchup here, and hopefully Lockie Neal, who is in really, really good touch, can get that 122 and keep the greens rolling for me and get back up the top of the leaderboard where I belong. So fingers crossed, and hopefully you can do it for us.
Absolutely. Good pick. And I tell you what, we must have been thinking quite similar, on a similar wavelength, because it's becoming quite a tradition now that I won't update who I'm putting in to the lock of the round, so there's no speculation about this stuff. I don't want people copying my picks, and I'm not looking at you, Kerm. I'm looking well past you. But I'm going with Josh Dunkley this week, and this might be a little bit of salt in the wounds for Cal, because he's coming off picking him last week, couldn't get it done, and you mentioned that matchup against St Kilda. They love to give up fantasy points to midfielders, and there's not too many better midfielders than Josh Dunkley in the AFL currently. I'm going for 127 fantasy points. So hopefully he can crack 129 again like last week. Give me the positive points, and we'll be moving up and up, baby. I'm excited. Can't wait. And that is going to wrap us up for another episode of Game Day Squad's Aussie Rules Show. This is for round 15. Thank you so much if you've made it this far into the video. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel so you're notified when new episodes are coming out. As I mentioned before, we have the live stream on Thursday. Make sure you're there for your best chance to win some free packs and cards. You'll never know what might happen. But cheers again, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one.